Once upon a time, in the town of Bafo, there lived a woman who was incredibly beautiful and curvaceous. No one knew where she came from. No one knew who her mother was. No one knew her father's name. She had no family, no identity, no backstory. But the moment a man laid eyes on her, he forgot to ask any questions. Her name was Kemi, and Kemi was stunning. Her skin glowed like the morning sun. Her eyes sparkled like stars in the night sky. When she walked, it felt like the wind was carrying her, soft, silent, magical. But it wasn't just her beauty that made men freeze. Their eyes always went straight to the waist bead wrapped around her hips. It jingled softly as she walked. The sound was so sweet, so tempting, it made men's hearts race faster. They didn't know why, but there was something about that waist bead that stirred emotions they couldn't explain. The men of Bafo would whisper, "Who is she?" They would ask, "Where did she come from?" But no one had any answers. All they knew was, Kemi belonged to no one. She wasn't married. She had no family, no friends. Every day she simply walked through the marketplace, her waist bead humming its soft song. Her body swayed like a peaceful river. And the men, they wanted her. They followed her with their eyes. They fought among themselves for her attention. They spent money to impress her. And Kemi noticed. She smiled at them. Let them talk to her. Let them take her out. Let them throw their money around for her. But she had one rule. Whenever a man wanted to be with her, she would never let him touch her waist bead. Forget about taking it off. She always insisted, whatever they did, they had to do it with her waist bead still on. Why? They would ask. Kemi would smile, gently brush her fingers along their cheek, and whisper, "Because it makes me even sweeter." And the men believed her. They never questioned it. Once a man got close to Kemi, his mind stopped working like it should. And that was their mistake. They followed Kemi happily, never realizing they were walking straight into their own destruction. The first man to fall into her trap was Tali. Tali was the richest trader in all of Bafo. He owned the biggest shop. His warehouses were filled with gold, spices, and fine fabrics brought from distant lands. When he walked through the market, people moved aside. When he spoke, men listened. When he spent money, it flowed like a river. But the day he saw Kemi, all of his wealth meant nothing. She walked past his shop. Her waist bead jingled softly. Tali's eyes locked onto her. His heart pounded. His hands trembled. He had never seen a woman so beautiful. "I must have her," he whispered. That very night he sent gifts to her house. Gold, elegant dresses, perfumes that smelled like heaven. But Kemi sent them back. The next day he sent more, and then more, and more. Still, Kemi refused. Tali couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. His mind was filled with Kemi, her smile, her voice, and the way her waist bead moved when she walked. Finally, he went to her himself. "Kemi," he said, "I'll give you anything. Just be mine." Kemi tilted her head, a soft smile on her lips. "Anything?" "Yes, anything," Tali promised. Kemi reached for his hand. Her fingers were soft as silk. "Then take me home," she said. Tali's heart raced. His hands shook. He brought her to his mansion, the biggest house in all of Bafo. That night, they laid together. Moonlight shone through the windows. Tali reached for her waist bead. His fingers brushed across it. It was cool, smooth, and seemed to hum with an energy he couldn't explain. "Take it off," he whispered. Kemi smiled, her eyes glowing in the dim light. "No," she said softly. "It makes me sweeter and more fun to enjoy." Tali, blinded by desire, didn't ask any more questions. He pulled her closer. They became one, and that was the last night he ever slept in that house. Then came Benji. Benji was a young man blessed by the gods. He was smart, ambitious, and so rich that even men twice his age couldn't match his wealth. While others counted coins, Benji counted bundles of money. He had a stunning wife, one who made heads turn when she walked. His children were joyful and bright. His house was made of marble, and the servants bowed their heads as they opened the doors for him. Everything was perfect, until the day he saw Kemi. Benji was at the market that day, his mind busy with business. Suddenly, a sweet jingling sound reached his ears. He turned, and there she was, Kemi. Her waist bead sparkled under the afternoon sun. Her skin was smooth, like fresh palm oil. Her eyes were deep and dark, like a black river at night. Benji forgot everything: his wife, his children, his job. He saw only her. He ran up to her, stood in front of her, and said, "I want you." Kemi smiled and tilted her head. "Want me?" "Please," he said in a trembling voice. "I'll do anything." Kemi looked into his eyes for a long moment. Then she touched his hand and said, "Then come." That night, Benji lay beside her. His hand moved to her waist, feeling the beads. "Why don't you take it off?" he asked. Kemi smiled. "No," she whispered. "It makes me even sweeter." Benji didn't argue. He was too lost in her. The next morning, he woke up feeling like a king. He kissed Kemi's lips, got dressed quickly, and rushed to the bank. But there stood his boss, face dark like a thundercloud. "Benji," he said coldly, "where's the stolen money?" "What?" Benji was stunned. "The millions! The records say it was you!" "I didn't do anything." "Shut up! You're fired!" Two guards grabbed him and dragged him out of the bank. People stared. Benji? A thief? When he got home, his wife stood at the door, tears in her eyes, a letter in her hand. Everything was written there. "Tell me it's not true," she whispered. Benji stepped forward, but she stepped back. "I can't raise my children with a thief." She picked up her bags, called the kids, and walked away, without looking back. Just a week ago, Benji had everything. Now he had nothing. He didn't understand why, but Kemi did. She was still walking through the market, her waist bead jingling softly. Another man looked at her, and Kemi smiled. Bafo was no longer the town it once was. Men were falling, one after another. Some lost everything overnight. Some watched their wives leave with the children and never return. Some went mad, running through the streets, talking to the air, laughing at things no one else could see. And at the center of it all was Kemi. Her waist bead still jingled. 17 men had been with her. 17 men had fallen. The women of Bafo saw how the men worshipped Kemi. They started wearing waist beads too. They walked through the market, their beads clinking softly, hoping to turn heads like she did. But nothing happened. Their beads were just beads. Their beauty was just beauty. Only Kemi's bead held the power. Only Kemi could take drain, destroy. And still the men didn't learn. They told themselves, "It won't happen to me." They saw Tali go from wealthy to begging, but still didn't turn away. They saw the king flee into exile, but still desired her. They saw Benji lose everything in 1 week, but still whispered, "I want her too." Because once Kemi walked past, once that waist bead jingled, once she smiled at a man, his fate was sealed. And she wasn't done. Next came Bulma. Bulma was different. He had no shame, no fear, no guilt. He had married 15 women, all of whom had left him after catching him with other women. But Bulma didn't care. To him, women meant nothing. When he saw Kemi, he didn't send gifts. He didn't write her notes. He watched, he studied, he waited. Then one day, he walked straight up to her in the market. In a deep, steady voice, he said, "I want you." Kemi tilted her head and smiled. "Then have me." That night, Kemi lay on his bed. Bulma ran his hands over her body. He had been with many women, but none like her. Something felt different, powerful. His hand slid to the waist bead. It was cold, smooth, strange. "Take it off," he said. Kemi smiled. "Number, I'm sweeter with it on." Bulma pulled back. He wasn't like the others. He wasn't blinded by desire. His eyes narrowed. "No," he said firmly. "Take it off." Kemi blinked. Her smile faltered. No one had ever said that before. She leaned closer, breath warm against his skin. "You'll enjoy it more with it on," she whispered. Bulma didn't move. His face was stone, his eyes sharp. "I don't want you if you can't take it off." Kemi's heart skipped. She sat up slowly, hair falling over her shoulders. Fingers tensed on the beads. Bulma didn't beg, didn't plead, didn't try again. He leaned back, arms crossed. "Then leave," he said. Kemi's eyes darkened. For the first time, she felt something she'd never felt before, fear. She stood up, face calm, but inside her heart raced. She reached for her dress. "Maybe next time." "There won't be a next time," Bulma said quietly. As she turned to walk away, Bulma moved, faster and stronger than she expected. He grabbed her wrist, and with his other hand, he yanked the waist bead. Snap. The beads broke apart. A terrible scream ripped through the night. Kemi's body jolted, her eyes widened in horror. She clutched her stomach, digging her fingers into her skin. Something was happening, something was wrong. She gasped for breath, legs shaking. Her skin burned, like something inside her was twisting, breaking. She ran, out the door, into the street, naked, screaming. The whole town woke up. "Kemi!" someone shouted. They had never seen her like this, never afraid, never weak. She ran past them, wild hair flying, hands clawing at her body. "She's gone mad!" someone cried. Bulma stood at the door, holding the broken beads. Calm face, but his mind spinning. He had broken something, something powerful. Kemi's power was gone. She ran, barefoot, screaming through the streets. Women rushed out. "Cover yourself!" someone shouted. Another threw a wrapper at her, but Kemi slapped it away. Her mouth opened, and what came out was not her voice. "I was nothing," she wailed. "I was a poor girl, no mother, no father, no food. No home!" The crowd gasped. She dropped to her knees, grabbing the dirt. "I went to my grandmother," she sobbed. "She was a spirit woman, a witch." Gasps filled the air. "She gave me this." She pointed at the broken waist bead. It wasn't ordinary. It had power. It had hunger. She told me, for every man I slept with, I would take his fortune, his blessings, his strength. 21 men, she cried. I needed 21 men. Then my power would be complete. Her eyes wild now. Bulma. He was supposed to be the last. Number 21. But he broke it. He ruined everything. My power is gone. By dawn, she was dressed in ordinary clothes. The people of Bafo stood in silence. Now they understood. Now they knew why their men had fallen. Their fear turned to rage. The town square was silent. They surrounded her, fathers, brothers, husbands, whose lives had been shattered. She knelt in the dirt, her once beautiful body now covered in dust and shame. A woman picked up a stone. You ruined my husband, she whispered. She threw it. It hit Kemi's arm. A man picked up another. You drove my brother mad. He threw his. One by one they picked up stones. One by one they threw. Kemi screamed, begged, sobbed. But they didn't stop. Stone after stone struck her, arms, legs, face. She collapsed. Her body trembled. Her voice faded. And then, stillness. Kemi was no more. Her broken waist bead lay beside her, its power gone forever. Justice, they said, had been served. But something still felt wrong. Even as her body grew cold, the people felt no peace. The men who lost everything never got it back. Tali still begged in the streets. The king still wandered the forest. Benji still had no name, no job, no wife. The town waited. Maybe the gods would restore what was lost. But days passed, weeks passed, nothing changed. The curse hadn't died with Kemi. Only her story remained. And they told it to their children, to their daughters, as a warning, to their sons, as a lesson. And on quiet nights, when the wind rustled through the trees, some swore they could still hear it, the soft, distant jingling of Kemi's waist bead. And Bafo learned one thing that night. Not everything that glitters is gold. Lessons from the story. 1. Not everything that glitters is gold. Just because something looks beautiful on the outside doesn't mean it's good for you. Outer beauty can hide deep danger. 2. Blind desire leads to destruction. The men of Bafo were so consumed by Kami's looks and the charm of her waist bead, they ignored every red flag and paid the price. 3. What you see isn't always the whole truth. Nobody questioned who Kemi was or where she came from. People often trust appearances without knowing what's hidden beneath. 4. Power and status can't protect you from temptation. Even the great King Okoli, feared, respected, powerful, fell into the same trap as everyone else. No one is immune to manipulation if they're not careful. 5. True strength lies in self-control. Bulma was the only man who didn't fall for Kami's game. He stayed firm, resisted temptation, and ultimately broke the curse. Control over your desires is real power. 6. Hurting others for personal gain. always backfires. Kemi believed stealing power from men would make her invincible, but in the end, it brought her ruin. What you build on the pain of others never lasts. 7. The truth always comes out. Kemi's secret was hidden behind beauty and charm, but when the beads broke, so did the lie. No matter how long it's buried, truth always finds a way out. 8. Silence empowers evil. The people of Bafo saw men falling, but no one spoke up. Their silence allowed the curse to grow. Sometimes, staying quiet can be just as dangerous as doing wrong.